Lay back, relax, enjoy it all. Saturday night, it's time to say no more. S&M with Tally and KRC. Come pleasure or pain, welcome to the stream.
What's messed up?
Okay, now y'all can hear me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to S&M. I'm Eve. This is Tally. Sorry, I apparently every time there's a Windows update, every single time there's a Windows update, it resets all of my device settings on OBS, and I don't know why. I have not been able to figure out why. But
It's really hot and humid, and I don't like it.
yes, Tally is uncomfortable. You know, that's to be
Okay, so it is currently 24 degrees Celsius, and that's about 85, I want to say, Fahrenheit, something like that. It's really hot.
But I even went through the trouble of making sure, like, doing all my checks and balances. Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay, this is going that. But I glanced over at OBS, and I'm glad I did, and we didn't talk for a bit.
She
And
did.
there was no
It's
sound
true.
bubbles. There was no little.
She did.
Yep.
Because we were here talking. You know what, Race? Today is summer. But I no longer live in the north of England. I now live in the south, and we've got summer all week. It's great.
They have a whole week of summer down there.
Well, technically, we here we actually have seasons.
What?
Yeah,
they did
this
that
part
in
of
the
the
UK.
yeah,
I
this
thought
part of
the
the
US
country,
invented seasons.
this part of the country, we actually get seasons.
And I apologize, guys, if I sound deeper and more mannish than normal. I've been fighting a sore throat that's been driving me crazy. There's no other symptoms other than just a sore throat and a little bit of a cough from more irritation than anything. My throat is very, like, closed up. I feel like I'm having an allergy attack, but I'm not having a runny nose or sneezing or anything, so I don't know what's going on.
My sister's got COVID.
Oh, I hope it's not COVID, but I don't have any
No,
other symptoms, so, like, I can smell
well,
this tea.
you want to get yourself one of these.
What's that?
This is a COVID testing pack.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's one of the little... Where's the rest of it? There it is. There's the little liquid. There's the little thingy. The rapid test is in there. And then there's the little swab.
So it didn't come home yet. Tally, when will it come home? What are you talking about, Mr. Yes?
Football. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's
Somebody said it did
coming
the other
home.
day.
No, it didn't come home. But to be fair on us, England or whatever, we haven't won a World Cup or a Euro or anything like that since I want to say the 60s.
Are y'all done? You decided to get now.
We got all the way to the semi-final. No, we got all the way to the final against Italy, and then I was like, you know, we're gonna lose. But apparently we did very well in the first half, but I don't know because I didn't watch because I had to get up for work in the next morning.
Yeah. Oh. Football's not really my thing, but hey, you know, more power to those who do get enjoyment and pleasure out of it. But sports are not me.
It's not my thing either. And my dad knocked on my door that night and he goes to me, you know, the kickoff's soon. I was like, yeah, but I don't like football. And he's like, neither do I, but I do when it's the World Cup. And I was like, Dad, it's not the World Cup, it's the Euro.
And he's like, oh, well, I don't like it then.
Well, you know what I will say? During the World Cup, it is a lot of fun to go to the pub and have a drink while you're watching. That is pretty fun. To just sit at home and watch it, nah, I'm good.
Oh, goodness. Football, American football is better than soccer. So, there's two things.
You're actually scoring American football. Like there are some games that they'll play, and at the end it's just 0-0. It's just like, well, that was a waste of time.
So, I was thinking about something. I had a conversation with Polydev, of all people, the other night, and we were talking about. This just came to me, so I didn't mention it before the stream.
Okay.
We were talking about explaining things. He had a friend that he was explaining what this online community that he's part of is like.
Mm-hmm.
But this person he was explaining it to, she has no experience with anything. She's never been on Discord, doesn't really get on Twitter. Mostly it's just like, you know, a normie on Facebook at most. You know,
it's kind of like me
maybe watching some YouTube videos.
It's kind of like me trying to explain Dungeons and Dragons to my sister-in-law. I love her. She doesn't understand it. And when I'm talking about it, it's like I'm speaking a different language.
It is. And it's like, you know, like trying to, he said the perfect example of how this conversation went was explaining how doxing goes. You know, why you don't want to, you know, be like, oh, hey, I have a live stream that I do. Because what's the first thing she's going to want to do? Oh, well, someone I know does this thing on the internet. I want to see what it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural response. If you know, if Slipknot there in chat was like, hey, I got a stream, we'd all be like, oh, cool, let's go over there and, I singled you out, Slipknot, sorry. Let's go watch a stream, you know. And for us, as his online community and friends, it's fine. But if he told his mother, and his mom pops in chat and says something along the lines of, hey, John, how are you? And, you know, I'm so proud of you for doing this. And he'd be like, oh, shit, you know. And why it's such a big deal, like, not having your personal information out there, not having your, even as far as just having, used to be back in, like, the 90s, you could at least give people your first name. Nowadays, you can't even do that, you know.
You do have to be careful.
I'd explain it as autistic political BDSM. That makes it worse, Race. This motherfucker.
Oh, God.
But no, I mean, and he was sitting there trying to explain, and I don't think he'll mind me telling the story, but he said something along the lines of he mentioned Sam, and she's like, wait a minute, you just know this guy online, you've never met him? And he's like, well, yes. And responded, she's like, well, how do you know he's trustworthy? And he just does to her, he says, well, because a tranny in Tennessee told me he was trustworthy. Or a tranny from the South told me he was trustworthy. And she laughed, and he's like, no, seriously. A tranny in the South told me he was cool, was his words.
You know what? It is a really good question of how do you know he's trustworthy, but I've trusted Sam enough to give him control of my laptop so he could fix it.
Shit.
And I just sat here watching while he did this shit.
I think
my
there's
mouse
a lot
is going all over the place.
Sam is definitely
great.
on my short list of people that I would, you know, like trust in real life.
Sam is definitely on my short list as well. He is definitely someone that I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to have a group of friends over. I've got a couple of spare beds. Hey, Sam, you want to come over to my place and have a few drinks? bearing in mind that we just live across the channel from each other now.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's in France, you're in UK, so
Well,
it's not really
I'm now in Cornwall, and I'm perfectly okay with saying that it's Cornwall because there's a lot of people.
Oh, okay. It's just like me saying I'm in Memphis. Did you know that Memphis spans over 100 square miles? Air quotes Memphis and its surrounding areas and all that stuff spans over 100 square miles and includes 500,000 people. Good luck finding me. You know.
It would take you 2 hours to drive from the border from the Devon and Cornwall to Land's End, which is right at the very tip of Cornwall. Cornwall has the longest coastline in England at nearly, I think it's like 250 to 300 miles, something like that.
I'm being invaded, sorry.
Yeah, like we are surrounded by ocean on 3 sides.
But it was just a conversation that I had with him. I think it might have been last night we had that conversation. I don't remember. I've not slept much lately because my.
Is that when you were in the private chat on your server?
It might have been. I don't remember. I know we were talking in private, but no, it was just the funny anecdotal thing that a lot of us online have to deal with of explaining to people in your family or your friend circles that don't know anything about this stuff what it's like. If you try to explain the stuff we know about politics, about red pilling, or because it's that's a cringy phrase nowadays, but
it is a little.
It's just, but the whole concept and the political climate surrounding that stuff and internet debates and YouTube political commentators and things like that. You try to explain that to a normie, and holy shit, you sound like a conspiracy theorist.
You know what? My brother, he kind of understands online. Like, when I first moved down here, my dad didn't like how much time I was spending on the computer. Bearing in mind that when I moved down here, I spent a lot less time on the computer than I did when I was living up country. But it's because, I was looking for a job, and I would sit in the kitchen with my laptop on the job sites looking for work. And he would say, why don't you go out to the job center? It's like, because I've got more resources using the online portal for the job center than if I went to the job center.
Especially
and
with
COVID,
they've just pushed everything online. I mean,
he goes to me, but the job center's now open. It's like, but there's more online resources than there is actually in person. I've got all of the resources and more that they offer at the job center if I was there in person, sitting right here. And I tried to explain this to me, but he wouldn't get it from me. So I had to get my brother to explain it to him. He was worried I was doing all kinds of degenerate, crazy shit. I was like, Dad, I play D&D.
You are.
It's the most nerd. Well, yeah, but he doesn't know.
He says, explain it to me. Happy waves those paws around more.
Yeah. And I was there having a conversation with my dad and my brother. It's like, Dad, I played Dungeons and Dragons online with nerds. Like, Dungeons and Dragons is the least sexy, most nerdy game on the planet. I mean, he doesn't need to know about the
succubus who seduced the cleric's clothes off. Yeah, I remember that story, Tally.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people, you tell them Dungeons and Dragons and they think nerds in basements. So you can get away with saying to a normie, it's not very sexy. To be fair,
we've only evolved past that a little bit.
Yeah.
We've just kind of moved upstairs. We're still nerds,
Yeah. So I've got a friend, and I've been friends with this guy for 15 years. In fact, he actually helped me fix my car. Because he's a mechanic, and he's I adore this guy. He's got a bit of a deformity with his face because he needs surgery.
This isn't the other guy who tried to help you with your car, right? This is like someone else. Okay.
No. This is a very good friend of mine. He is the sweetest guy. Oh, that part. I was actually speaking to him about that guy, and he was like, yeah, he's got criminal history. I was like, yeah, I know. He told me. It made me very uncomfortable. No. That's not this guy. This guy, he's the sweetest guy I've ever known. I actually dated him for a few weeks when I was 18, and it didn't work out because he lived so far away from me. And now we're just like, eh.
Yeah.
But he's a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd too, and it's like, can we play in real life? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like,
It's always a lot more fun when you can play D&D in person. You know, there's something just about being there in front of people. You know.
he told me about a place that's opening up nearby. Oh, well, I say nearby, it's about half an hour away. Half an hour, 45 minutes away, that's opening up soon, and they are going to hold Dungeons and Dragons nights. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to be
That's
able to
good.
do that.
That's very good. Like I said, I miss playing D&D in person. My D&D group didn't really fall apart. We kind of went our separate ways and started doing different things. As much as I loved them, you know, I don't know that I could find one day a week that I could just drop everything and go over to someone's house, you know. But I don't know. A lot of that fell away with COVID and stuff, so a lot of people moved things online. But even before that, my D&D group hadn't met in a while. So
yeah, it can be quite difficult sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's part of what killed my my interest in doing a lot of D&D. Because as much as I like doing it, it's hard for me to get into now.
See, I love this guy that I'm friends with, like, in the most platonical sense possible. I adore him. Like, and his parents are the sweetest people I've ever met. And his dad is hilarious.
But, you know. Anywho.
Yeah. So we've got something for you. It's
Go ahead.
It's kind of going to bring up a little bit of debate. Now, can I just say I am not against the idea of it.
Well,
the science just isn't there for it. Yeah.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about this particular subject. It's obviously one that's come across my mind before, and I have mixed feelings about it. I can't even begin to get into it without reading it first. But this has been about almost a month ago now at this point.
Well, yeah, I did I showed it to you before the stream last week, but you that we had to cancel that one.
So this is a tweet like thread.
Yeah.
But it's not an argument I haven't heard before, if that makes sense. And it's also one that isn't as uncommon as a lot of people think, unfortunately. Well, I'll just go ahead and share it with you. But the tweet itself it's not really just point at this one person and talk about how stupid they are. This is more about the subject in general. You know? What I'm trying to shoot for here.
I mean, this person does say some pretty stupid things in this thread.
But it's more their idea here is not sound, in my opinion. Not that the person is just like, you're a fucking moron and blah blah blah. Now I'm not going to insult the person.
No, we're not here to insult them. Like, if they have this opinion, that's fine.
Yeah, but it also makes it less about that one individual person ranting on the internet and more about the subject itself.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm going to share with the kids. So a lot of you know about the situation with Britney Spears and her whole conservatorship and for those of you who don't know, long story short, because it's not really the focus of our topic today. Right after she broke up with Kevin Federline back in early 2000s or whatever, she was deemed mentally unstable enough to the point that her father took conservatorship of her again. Meaning that he had control of all her funds, he had control of, basically just tell her what to do. Because she was deemed to be too irresponsible. Problem is that when she got herself back in line, he didn't let that go, and is now not letting her do things.
Now she's at the point where she wants to get this the coil removed, the IUD, which is the same
among other things, like, you know.
It's the same contraception I use, but she wants to get that removed so she can have more children.
Intrauterine device, I believe, is what it stands for. IUD. It's a thing to stick up in your vagina to make you not have babies.
It's kind of like a coil, but instead of being made from copper, it's made from soft plastic, and it releases hormones directly into the uterus.
Ray says, K-Fed, there's a name I haven't heard in a while, and Eve says, see, what happened was... Look, we all know this is your fault, so stop.
Okay, so ignoring that first thing, let's go on.
That said, so this woman is tweeted. This person is tweeting out. Cis woman talking about how horrifying it is Britney Spears can't have her IUD removed. I hope you have the same energy for trans women in desperate need for uterus transplants to be developed and made available for us. I said for us.
Yeah, this person is a trans individual.
IDK, people might think it's an edgy stance for me to have or whatever, but when fighting for reproductive rights, pushing for development and wide availability of uterus transplants for us trans women is just as important as abortions. We deserve that choice too.
I'm against abortion anyway.
I'm just going to read it and then we'll break it down.
Okay,
it's a little long, but it's small paragraphs, so I think we'll get through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Our reproductive needs and our reproductive rights are just as important as the reproductive needs and rights of anyone else.
I agree.
Uterus transplants for trans women are absolutely medically possible, and so many people, from trans men to cis women, I've seen wishing they could donate their uterus to a trans woman. The only thing standing in the way is trans misogyny. Trans misogyny that acts like our reproductive needs aren't as real or important as that of cis women. There have already been some uterus transplants for cis women, and the extra medical hurdles for bringing that to trans women are not insurmountable. We just need people to care enough to actually develop these techniques with us in mind, as well as cis women and other people who are assigned female at birth. The only thing standing between me and other trans women being able to bear our own children is transphobia. So please talk about this and raise awareness of the issue. We deserve to have a chance at pregnancy too. Hey, also a bonus fun fact. In 1940s Berlin, before the rise of the Nazi Party, the destruction of the Institute of Sexual Knowledge and all their research, a trans woman did receive a uterus transplant. She died from complications or infections or something 2 months later. Uterus transplants for trans women aren't even unprecedented. The progress in that area was intentionally destroyed by Nazis 80 years ago. It's about time we started back up with that work, yeah? Setting us back 80 years is enough. Let's not let the Nazis set us back 90 years. I'm obviously not trying to lessen what Spears is going through. I'm just saying, if you care about this, then please care about this too. I just really need people who aren't trans women here to not miss the point with me mentioning Spears. This isn't about her. This is about how people who have sympathy for cis women unable to get pregnant then turn around and tell us that we're lucky for not getting periods. People give us unwanted congratulations on our infertility. Isn't that super fucked up? Yet, that seems reasonable to cis women who want to reassert that they're true women compared to us who, because we don't go through that, we don't go through shit. We go through a lot of shit, but more than that, womanhood is not defined by how shitty you're treated or how awful periods are or anything like that. It's all just a symptom of trans misogyny. Anyway, just reproductive justice Reproductive justice is reproductive justice for trans women too. Fight for us too, please. And you may have gotten the numbers slightly wrong in the tweet. What do you mean? The years? Well, anyway.
Okay. Okay.
So let's break that down.
So-
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's an info dump.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Okay, so the reason biological women, are able to get uterus transplants is because our bodies are biologically designed to birth children. And it is easier to do. It is
Hold on, I need
easier.
some vinaigrette for this word salad. Yeah, right? Go ahead.
It is easier to transplant a uterus into someone that is biologically female and for them to go through and give birth than it is for a trans woman, because trans women, although they are women, yes, biologically they are still male, and pregnancy and all of that sort of thing, it is very stressful on the human, on a body. Like, my body still isn't the same after giving birth. And I don't mean I've got a little bit of podge. I mean, like, there is shit going on inside my body that is different than it was before I went through pregnancy.
Let's not even, mention the fact that even though a woman's body is biologically designed, there are a lot of women whose bodies still can't handle it,
Yeah, women die in
a
birth
lot less than
because
than used to because of advances in medical science. But
and that's because it is very stressful on the body. And, like, it's not just a case of putting in a uterus and having a baby. No,
but there are
because you've got to account for the fact that your body, like, your insulin production, it changes completely when you go through pregnancy, which is why some women go through they get diabetes when they're pregnant, because it affects your insulin production. All of your organs are pushed up. And that can also, and then you've also got to take into account, I know that C-sections are a thing. However, a C-section is also dangerous. It is major surgery. So a trans woman wouldn't be able to give birth naturally without getting her uterus shaved down, because the hole in the pelvis isn't big enough. And there is a lot of other things going on that I can't really think of off the top of my head that would just make it a lot more dangerous on someone that is biological male.
You're looking at it from one angle right now. My problem with this is there are at least 2 or 3 angles that I can see here.
Okay.
One is the
I'm just
medical
looking at this
possibility.
I'm just looking at this from a biological,
purely medical from a standpoint. Like, okay, let's say we're doing this. Let's look at all the problems. While, yes, it is not an insurmountable thing, and yes, I have seen statements by, surgeons who say that theoretically it's possible. In theory. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do it. The problem with that is
very different. Like,
the
there
problem
are
with that is
in theory, but in practice you can.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The problem with that is like you just said, Tally, when it comes to a biological woman getting pregnant, having a baby, there's already a complicated process that happens with that. And successfully carrying a baby to term is a difficult
It is very difficult and stressful.
Especially in the modern day,
very
because
stressful on the body.
Everywhere you look,
I was very lucky. I had a very straightforward pregnancy. I was lucky. Like, my sister, she had an awful pregnancy, and she got something that's called I can't remember what it's called, but she had an awful pain in her hips and her pelvis from where the baby was sitting too low in her uterus, and it caused all kinds of issues. And then when she went on and she had to have a C-section, that caused issues as well.
And like I was gonna say, is not to mention all the medical complications that cisgendered women have already that make things difficult, like you just said. Everywhere I look nowadays, 50% of my female friends have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. They literally have cysts that grow on their ovaries, and make
Oh
it
yeah, I work with someone that had that.
difficult for them to get pregnant. It causes all sorts of there's something going on with this particular, especially with our generation. It happens a lot, and I'm wondering exactly what something has happened, because it didn't used to be as common. I don't know if it's because we just started diagnosing it, or if there's actually something in the water that we've changed in our society that started causing this to happen to women. But
I think it's far more likely that we are just recognizing it and diagnosing it better, because it, like, cysts, depending on the size, they can cause issues. Like if you've got a very small cyst, it wouldn't necessarily cause issues, but they still want to remove it so that it doesn't get too big. Whereas a large cyst would cause all kinds of issues. And then you've got stuff like ectopic pregnancies. That shit sucks too. Like a pregnancy that gets stuck in your fallopian tube, and if it's not, and that is a issue where you have to terminate that pregnancy, because if you don't, it'll just tear your fallopian tube apart and you will die.
So Ray says most of the women...
Pregnancy is very dangerous.
Sorry. Ray says most of the women I've known that had that were also pretty obese. I will say one of the symptoms of polycystic ovarian syndrome makes it harder for women to lose weight. Not necessarily impossible, because I've seen a lot of women also use it as an excuse of, well, I'm just fat because I have PCOS and I'm not going to worry about it. No. Because I know women who have PCOS that are this big around too, because they took care of their bodies. And, I know everybody's different, but it's not an excuse. But at the same time, it actually does make it more difficult to lose weight because of the way it works. I'm not exactly sure the thing, but it is one of the symptoms of it.
It releases,
trouble losing weight is one of the symptoms.
It causes your body to release extra estrogen, and estrogen makes you put on weight.
Fair enough.
I'm sure you've noticed that your fat distribution, it changed dramatically when you started taking estrogen.
I would be a prime example, going from having testosterone in my body to taking androgen blockers and taking estrogen, which, yeah, I did that today. I'm good. I had to check my pills. But yeah, no, I've noticed that, you take pictures of me from 3 years ago, the way that my body holds fat in it. I am almost as fat as the fattest I've ever been right now. Like, I'm not happy with my weight.
And
but
you're not even
carries
fat,
different than it used to.
Well, the reason your fat distribution is different is because of the estrogen. Because before you were taking estrogen, a lot more of your fat was stored beneath your muscle. Now that you are taking testosterone blockers and you're taking estrogen, now your fat distribution is over the top of your muscle. So you're not actually fatter. It's just distributed in a way that is more feminine, which is why you've now got wider hips. So because a lot of it is on the hips and around like the chest area as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's just the medical side of it. We've established here that a woman having a baby is a complicated process.
It is
a
cisgender
very complicated woman having a process. A trans woman trying to have a baby, you're trying to do this transplant and have all of the potential complications of a regular pregnancy.
Not only
That's
that,
a lot of
but when you have a foreign organ, you have to take a medication every day for the rest of your life to avoid rejection.
Typically, yes. There are some cases where you don't, but they're very rare. And because this surgery would be very rare to begin with, 0.01% of the people in the world are trans, so even if you decided to give all of us, every single trans woman in the world, a uterus, you're still talking about, you got to be on those medications, anti-rejection medications.
But also you have to wonder, where are these uteruses going to come from?
Well, that's one thing she does say there, is that she's
and
talking
if
about,
someone's
having
willing
options like either artificial wombs and things like that. So.
But we're not at the point where artificial organs are viable yet.
Yeah. Let's open up the can of worms that is the second angle on this, Tally. Are you ready?
Go for it.
The morality issue. Let's open up the
Okay.
moral issue of this. We set that aside to discuss the medical implausibility of this. While
I'm not saying
while
it's
this
not going to
person
be
is right, it is
Can
possible.
I just say, one day it will be possible. At the moment, though, it is not.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. She says it's possible. That doesn't mean it's probable. Like it's a statistical nightmare. Like with all these
It's
different
not-
variables.
You know what? With all the different variables, I can't see it being possible for
I mean,
another
medical
100,
science in general is, but
150
that
years.
is just to me is asking for trouble. You know.
I don't see it being possible for at least another 100 years.
Let's close
All
that
right, but
book
moral.
and set that aside.
Okay, but moral.
And let's
What is the
open the
moral
moral
argument?
one.
Okay, I am curious as to
There
what the moral
is
argument is.
so much from not even just a moral, like just a fucking. We're fucking with nature, and we've done that. But to take
Well, we do that every day by curing people of like
fair
cancer
enough,
treatment.
fair enough. But this would be this is up there. This is up there with cloning, in my opinion. This is up there with mind control, in my opinion. Attempts at those kind of things, fucking with people.
Something you have to remember. Fucking, like, you say fucking with nature. Like, you've got to remember, nature only intended for us to live until we were in our 40s.
Well, no, because otherwise we would be dead right now. You know.
No, like people left in the wild, just a perfectly healthy person.
Let me rephrase. This is an approach. You know, this person is very selfish in the way they're thinking. And I'm going to say
That's
that
why your body starts to do weird shit when you get into your 30s.
Because this person is only focused on the fact that they want to have a baby. That's all they can think about is, I want to have a baby. They don't think about the implications of what that means for that child. What that child is going to have to grow with, the medical complications that child is going to have to deal with.
Well, there's not necessarily going to be any medical complications.
Not necessarily, but there's, like I said, we just already
there is a
can of worms there.
Like, something you've also got to take into account.
We're manipulating the genetics of it, and I don't.
Well, you've got to remember, you know your medical history, just like I know my medical history. And if your child has something that is genetic, you can go, well, this is because this is my family history, and they can go through that and they can figure it out. With a transplanted uterus, they would also have to transplant eggs. And then you have to figure out what is the medical family history of the person where you're getting this uterus from.
There's just, again, so many variables that make it, honestly, as much as I get it. Because I've always said myself, I don't want kids. The only way I could ever conceivably see myself have kids is if I was in this situation where I was able to birth the child myself like a woman would. Because fathering a child to me, as a trans woman, fathering a child is not something that, that doesn't set well with me. I don't like the idea. I
mean, there are trans people that are okay with it, which is why they freeze their sperm before they go through all of this sort of thing. But also, the ability to freeze your sperm in case you do want to have children when you're trans is why trans kids shouldn't be a thing.
Ray says there's now a precedent for children born of transplanted uterus inside a man. We have no idea how fucked up this can get. I'd wager Island of Dr. Moreau levels of fucked. Yeah, it's experimenting with the level of it where you have to kind of take into account morality. There's a reason why we don't clone people. There's a reason why cloning is illegal.
Well, the reason we don't clone
generally
people is
considered
they
immoral because you're not taking into account the fact that you're bringing into the world a human life, potentially a life.
Well, you've got to remember, they did actually clone a sheep and Dolly the sheep.
Right.
This sheep didn't even. How long did she last? A few months before she died? A couple of years at the most?
Yeah. And there's
died
just
a horrible
so much,
death.
And there's just so much that is not okay there,
It died a horrible death because something went wrong, or cloning is a very complicated process, and start to break
when
down.
when it comes to medical science in general, one of the things that a lot of people don't like to acknowledge is that the Nazis did a lot for us in that regard, because the Nazis tossed morals out the window and just did science. They stopped caring about human life, and they just did a lot of experiments on people. And they learned a lot of things. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, they did.
But
like, we learned a lot about battlefield infections in war.
not even
because
that. Just the experimentation they were doing in laboratories. They
Well-
learned a lot
well,
of
yeah,
things
they
that
would-
we use,
they would ex-
use in medical
yeah,
science
they would-
today.
They would experiment on people doing stuff like they would cut them open and then they would rub all kinds of different shit in the wound, see how the infection developed.
Yep. And they, like I said, they learned a lot of things, but at what cost? On the one hand, I can say, hey, we have all these medical advances today because they did those terrible things, but that's, on the other hand, it's like, but what did they have to do to get there, It's just...
They didn't worry about, should we do this? They just went, can we do this?
And that's one of the things that comes up to me.
In a moral society, we shouldn't be worrying, can we do this? We should be worrying about, should we do this?
Right. Because we are capable of a lot of things. This is 2021. We are capable of a fuck ton of medical breakthroughs and just amazing things as far as medical science goes. But we are held back. I say held back. We are gating ourselves on purpose, because there are lines you just don't cross. Because you get into they make the joke about Jurassic Park. You were so fixated on whether or not you could, you didn't stop to ask whether or not you should. So then there's the Tuskegee experiments. Yes, exactly. Those are all prime examples of why.
Then there's also what we learned about the genetics of twins. We learned a lot about that from the Nazis as well. Like, they did all kinds of fucked up experiments on twins. Like, they would poison one and keep one healthy. And then when the one that was poisoned died, they would kill the other one and go, right, what's the difference? They would then play spot the difference with these poor people.
Excuse me. And like I said, it learned them a lot, but at the same time, whoa. Slow down there. That went from 0 to 100, But this part I will agree with. Our reproductive rights and our reproductive needs and our reproductive rights are just as important as the reproductive needs and rights of anyone else. I agree. Just because I'm trans doesn't mean that I don't have reproductive needs and rights. The problem is the idea of what is a right. I don't have a right to a uterus,
Technically, no one has a right to a child. Having a child is a privilege. Having a child isn't a right, it's a privilege. Like, I am quite happy to say that I am privileged to have been able to birth my son.
Yeah.
And no one would understand that more than my friend, who she tried to get pregnant with her husband for 8 years before they went through IVF treatment to have their son, and now, like, he is their pride and joy, and they would stab a bitch if it meant to protect him.
Says uterus transplants for trans women are absolutely medically possible. We already talked about that. While it's possible, it's not at the moment. It is possible. Like,
at the moment, it's not viable.
We can conceive of a way to make it work.
We can, however, at the moment, medically, it's not viable.
It's not. Yeah, it would be very experimental if someone was even to try it. And she mentions
it would cause a lot of complications.
Like I said, she mentions how the Nazis did it, and it's like, oh, the Nazis. Do you see who you're referencing here? The Nazis did it.
But she even said that this person died.
Yeah. And granted, there's been 80 years of medical science that's come since then, but.
And do we even know if this person was willing, or if the Nazis forced this on this person?
Hey, let's see if we can. It might not even have been well, it says a trans woman, but it might not even actually been a trans woman. It might have been a gay man, for all they know. They were just like, hey, or it might have just been a cisgendered straight guy, and they're like, hey, you're a Jew. We're just gonna, cut you open and do things to you because we don't like you, and we're just gonna give you a vagina and a uterus and see if you can have a baby. Where is that not mad science? Where is that not, like, super immoral? But even if you're a willing participant in that, there's just
The complications that
so
would come
much
out
there.
of it.
And that's assuming you can carry the child to term that way. The
Well,
level
you've
of
also
fucked
got to
up
take
that kid
into
will
account.
be.
You've also got to take into account blood pressure. Like, I got preeclampsia when I was pregnant, and preeclampsia is high blood pressure, dangerously high blood pressure.
Mhm.
And women's bodies, overall, we can handle higher blood pressure because it's something that happens during pregnancy. Your blood pressure will go up.
Yeah.
And they take that into account. But preeclampsia is when that goes up at dangerous levels. And I was pretty lucky that mine wasn't as bad as some people. However, a biological male wouldn't be able to deal with that because biological man's blood vessels and all that sort of thing, they wouldn't be able to handle the higher than normal blood pressure that would come with it, and it would kill them.
Maybe, but it
When-
would definitely be more difficult.
There would be higher rates of preeclampsia among trans women being pregnant than regular women, like biological women.
Yeah. The whole thing about trans misogyny, y'all know how I feel about that. Nobody really has to have me say that, it's not because you're trans, honey. It's because you want like them to do mad science and put a baby in you. And calm down there, Dr. Moreau. It's pretty much. Because like I said, from a perspective of being a trans woman myself, the only way I would ever feel comfortable having a child is birthing it myself. Now, that is setting aside all the moral and medical issues of it to have that thought. But the problem is all those moral and medical issues are going to get in the way of all that before I can even have that question.
Okay, so you said there were 3 or 4 arguments against this. Now we've gone over medical, we've gone over moral. What else is there?
I said 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
And that was 2, and I can't remember if there was a third one or not.
You might have to quickly scan over the article and have a look.
Yeah, it was just I don't think so. I'll give her points for not being like, this isn't about Brittany. Let me point this out. This is just me saying, if you care about a cisgender woman's reproductive rights, you should care about a trans woman's reproductive rights. Fair enough,
The issue
but
is
there's a difference between positive and negative rights. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Positive rights give you something. Negative rights leave you alone to be able to do something. For example, the Bill of Rights here in the United States is built on negative rights. Negative rights and freedom of speech is a negative right. It's not that we give you permission to say what you want. The Bill of Rights gives you the freedom to say what you want. It says the government should not and will not interfere with your ability to speak your mind. Same with the right to bear arms. It is the right of the people to bear. I forget something about a well-formed militia. To form a well-formed
militia. Hang on, a well-formed militia being necessary to the freedom of a state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I probably worded that slightly wrong.
No, but you got it. You got it head on. You got the point, though. Shall not be infringed. It is not giving people permission to have guns. It is saying that they have this right and it cannot be infringed upon. That is the difference between a negative right.
As far as I'm concerned, because shall not be infringed is in there, every gun law goes completely against the Constitution.
That's a conversation for another day.
It is, yeah.
But like I said, the Bill of Rights is formed majority of negative rights. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. It's been a long day. I haven't slept much. Cut me some slack, kids. But the entire point of that is that she's like, the difference between her situation and Brittany's situation is Brittany's being told, she can't do something to her own body. This other bitch is saying that she should be, not only should she should be allowed to do what she wants to her own body, but at the same time, she's saying that she deserves to have someone else give her something. And that's the difference between the two. And that a lot of people, especially like social justice-y types, don't really get the difference between positive and negative rights. And the fact of the matter is, negative rights don't require anybody to do anything for you to have that right. Matter of fact, they require other people to just leave you the fuck alone. Mm-hmm. Positive rights require people, like, the whole thing of free health care. Here in the United States has been a big debate for several years now, free health care.
We have
saying you have a right
healthcare.
To healthcare.
We have
positive right.
Free healthcare here in the UK.
Well, it's
technically
tax-paid.
It's not free. Well, technically it's not free, because here in the UK we pay something called national insurance, and that is a tax on top of the taxes that we already pay.
Mm-hmm.
And the tax is national insurance pays for the health. Only like people that are working pay this tax, because people that are working are the only ones that pay tax. Whereas and because of this, healthcare is available to everyone, whether you're working or not.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some serious issues with our free healthcare, but yeah, that's another story for another day. The only positive experience I had with healthcare was when I was pregnant. And that's because they will bend over backwards to make sure you're okay when you're pregnant.
But the entire idea between, positive and negative rights require somebody to do something to give you something. And I don't feel like I don't have the right to somebody else's money. I don't have the right to somebody else's time. I don't have the right to somebody else's services.
You don't have the right to somebody else's uterus.
I have the right to somebody else's uterus. I have the right to be left the fuck alone to do what I want to do. My transition is my business. Going to my doctor and him providing me with pills to, medically.
But you're paying for that. But you're paying for that.
No, listen. Me doing those things affects me. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect anybody in chat. It doesn't affect, Ben Shapiro or anybody else who will talk about, trans people, and doesn't affect Alex Jones. It affects me. It's my life. I'm not forcing it on anybody else. I'm over here minding my own damn business. And that is why I believe that I have the negative right
your transition
to do that.
Also, with your transition, you present yourself as a woman.
Well, that's a whole other, because there are people who really try hard and they just don't succeed.
Well, no, but I've known a trans woman, and she didn't transition until she was in her 40s, and she was a lovely woman, and I am quite happy to say, yeah, she's a woman. She still looked a bit manly, but yeah, she was a woman, because she did everything she possibly could to present. She did everything she possibly could to present as a woman. Whereas you get these people that they present as a man. They put zero effort into they don't even grow their hair. They don't do makeup. They don't do any of that shit. They wear men's clothes, big burly beard. I'm a woman.
I'm a woman.
Are you though?
It's like when Kayla decides that her voice has been misread, and she just go, "I said." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, stop doing that. I hate when she does that.
Well, you do it to me too.
No, I don't like doing it.
I know you don't like doing it, but sometimes you do it, sometimes you do it, and it fucks me right up.
Yeah, but like I said, it isn't trans misogyny, lady. It's because you don't want to. It's just because you want something.
You want something that requires effort on other people's behalf.
Yeah. Because, in theory, if you want to do the legwork, if you want to find somebody who's A, willing to donate their uterus, B, a surgeon who is willing to perform the surgeries, a doctor who's willing to monitor your stuff, there's no reason why it shouldn't be possible. Now, acting like your insurance should pay for it, acting like you have some kind of right to these things, and people should be for. What would she do if there was no one willing to give up their uterus? What would she do? She'd still be demanding that somebody give up their uterus so she can have one.
She would either demand that someone gave up their uterus for her, or she would demand they grow one in a lab. And we've already gone over how organs growing in labs, they're not viable at the moment. Like, they are trying. It's just not going. It's just not working out quite right, and we're still a long way off that. Like, at least get us to the point where we can grow like a pancreas. No, let's go with something less important. All organs are important. At least get us to the point where we can get like an ear that is grown in a lab that works before we can get to like major organs.
So she goes on to say, this is about how people who have sympathy for a cis woman unable to get pregnant and then turn around and tell us we are, quote, lucky for, quote, not getting periods.
Periods do suck. I
don't know of a woman who likes bleeding from their vagina.
You know what? Since I've got the IUD, I don't actually get proper periods.
But I don't know of a woman who likes it at all, period.
I do, however, get mood swings. Like 2 weeks ago, I was shitty as hell all week. And also, I get awful pains in my hips and my back. And it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to curl up with chocolate and a hot water bottle and just tell the world to fuck off. That's pretty much all you want to do.
Yeah, and that's just I don't know. I don't even know how else to say it. Like, I don't know of a woman who likes periods. I get what they're trying to say is it's like it triggers dysphoria to be like, hey, you don't get a period, congratulations, you know.
I would never congratulate you for not getting a period.
Yeah. It's like, well, you're lucky you don't have to deal with this, you know.
No, I would never say you're lucky for not having to deal with it. I will just say it sucks.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I can see the angle, because to a trans woman, that is one of the few things that they don't have. That is one of the marks of womanhood that they don't have. And even though it's not a good thing that anyone likes experiencing, when it's this thing that when it's one of the things that sets you apart and makes it to where you're othered, you're not like everyone else around you because you don't have that thing, it can trigger your dysphoria and make you realize just how out of place you are, you know.
Well, I suppose it does depend on the trans woman, because there are trans women that they don't care about what's going on down here. What they care about is, am I seen as a woman?
That's me.
And you know. like Blair White, like, she doesn't want to get all the bottom surgery or anything like that, and her whole thing is, do people see me as a woman? Which is why she spent so much money on this transition and getting the facial feminization and all that sort of thing.
You know, like in my case, it's you know, my outward appearance is what matters the most. As long as I'm perceived as and treated as a woman, my dysphoria goes way down. In the case of, say, like, you know, Kayla doesn't have a lot of, she has dysphoria, but not as much around those things. For her, it was all focused on her genitals, you know. That's why it was one of the most important things for her to get SRS. And, you know, once she had that, her dysphoria went way down, you know. And it's different for each of us, you know, depending.
I really don't like the whole thing when it comes to trans kids, because they go through gender dysphoria. Like, I went through dysphoria as a kid because puberty sucks.
Yeah, puberty sucks.
Well, it's dysphoria. I'm like dysphoria.
Yeah.
The whole thing when it comes to dysphoria, like regular dysphoria that teenagers go through. Like, I went through it. Everyone went through it.
Yeah, dysphoria in general. The word dysphoria is just an uncomfortableness. It is an extreme discomfort. That's all it is. So when you have gender dysphoria, you have extreme discomfort with your the way you're perceived.
What bothers
with your
me
gender
when it
identity.
comes, a lot of people are being diagnosed with gender dysphoria when they don't actually have gender
I think
dysphoria.
we're getting
They are
off on a
just
rabbit trail.
dysphoric. Yeah, that we probably are, but they're just dysphoric with how their body is, and
Yeah.
that's
And
okay.
that's one of the things that often gets confused when younger, because people have, you know, dysphoria of just not fitting in. You know, people have dysmorphia of not being happy with the way something looks. You know, yeah, I know people who have like body dysmorphia because they have scars, or they have other kind of deformities on their body that makes them very, very uncomfortable.
I have one at the moment. I work out average 4 to 5 days a week.
Mhm.
I am now at the point where I can swim for an hour without stopping. I can do laps in a pool, swimming like that for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it kills you. It kills you. I'm now at that point. But I still have what I call a mummy pouch. And the reason it's the it's the loose skin around the stomach from where I gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that from when I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Because your skin stretches out and then it kind of goes back, but it didn't quite go back all the way. And also, that's another thing. Women have more elasticity in their skin, which means it stretches further than the average man, biological male. So more trans women would end up with a more extreme mummy pouch. But I've got that still, and I'm quite uncomfortable about it. So when I do go swimming, I wear high-waisted bikinis, or I wear a one-suit, a one-piece, because I don't like it. And I hide it as much as I can.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Because I have a little bit of a, you know, place right there where my waistband is dug into my body, and so the fat, like, just basically spills over the top of it for my stomach. So I try to make sure anything that shows my stomach is pulled up, like, above my belly button, so you can't.
Yeah, high-waisted.
Yeah.
But also, we went over this the other day when we were talking. Like, you've got a more rectangular body shape, so you want to wear stuff that is either high-waisted or cinches in at the waist to give you a more.
And thank you for that piece of advice. I wore that belt when I went out dancing Friday night, and it was great.
Oh, I found that waist cincher. I found that waist cincher. So if you send me your address, I will send it to you when I get paid.
Okay.
Because it's too big for me. But you're a bigger dress size than me, so it might be too big for you, but it might fit.
Well, continuing on with our thing here we're talking about. So I get where she's coming from. You know, people give us unwanted congratulations on our infertility. Isn't that super fucked up? I don't think it's fucked up, but I think it's just people assuming things that they don't necessarily understand. Because they're not there, and I can get that. You know, instead of being irate and screaming and yelling about it, I find the better approach is to actually explain to people. Actually, thinking about that kind of thing really upsets me. You know, and they'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, do that." You know, if you bring it up to people and talk to them about the fact that something makes you uncomfortable, they tend to stop talking about it.
Yeah, most people are respectful enough to go, sorry about that, we'll move on.
Yeah. I said, yet it seems reasonable that cis women who want to reassert that they're, quote, true women compared to us because we don't go through shit. We do. We go through a lot of shit. And I would argue that
no one denies that trans women don't go through shit. Like, you do go through a lot of shit. Like, you've got to go through hormone replacement therapy.
And just because my shit is different from your shit doesn't make, you know, my shit worse than your shit or any better than your shit. It's just different shit.
It's just different shit.
You know,
like every week you've got to see a therapist. You've got to take hormone replacement therapy every single day. I
think a lot of us should therapists, TBH.
Yeah.
We all need
therapy. A lot of people need therapy that don't go. But trans women, they do go through a lot of shit. It's just different shit.
If we had the extreme activism today back in the 90s, I would be a trans woman, says Rick. Yeah, no shit, right? I mean, and that's, so she goes on to say it's all a symptom of trans misogyny. I disagree.
I'm not going to say trans
we all
misogyny
have our own
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say trans misogyny doesn't exist. It does. There are clearly people that are misogynistic against trans women just because they are trans women.
Yeah.
Although you could argue, like, why is trans misogyny different to transphobia? I don't know. People aren't actually. I think trans
I would
misogyny.
actually argue that the word trans misogyny is actually more accurate than.
Yeah, I was going to say that it is. It is more accurate.
But,
like, no one is afraid of you because you are trans. However, there are people that just do not like you because you are a trans woman. Therefore, trans misogyny.
So Tally, I need you to do
Yes.
me a gigantic favor. Put the
What's
cameras
that?
back on us because we're in here. Just talk for like 2 minutes about whatever. I will be right back. Okay?
Okay. All right. The chat doing? How's everyone doing? Yes, race transmisandry, yes, because that is a hatred for men just for the sake of men, and that is the hate. Transmisandry is just the hatred of trans men just for being a trans man. Yeah, I would argue that transmisogyny and transmisandry are more accurate terms than transphobia, because transphobia, like I said, no one is afraid of someone just because they are trans. So, how is everyone doing? I don't have a football. Hi, Paris Eve. Okay, Race. I don't have a football riot bunker because I don't live in a trashy city where a lot of these football clubs are, where you would need a football riot bunker. Although I will say a good movie, if anyone's ever inclined to watch it, is Green Street. It is basically about football hooligans. What else do I say? What else should I say? Oh God. Somebody help me. Give me a subject. We are going to be coming up to our call-in segment soon. So you can come in and give us your opinion soon. What is what? Eve, what is what? I'm scared now. Evie, come back. Help me. Save me. Chris Chan, I don't actually know who that is. I have no idea who Chris Chan is. Cats? I love cats. Not as much as I like dogs, but there is a cat. Oh, the film? No, I haven't seen it. The musical was pretty good. I saw the musical abroad on well, our equivalent of Broadway. um okay, so the musical I quite enjoyed, the original musical. The movie, however, I didn't even watch it, and I won't watch it because it just looks disturbing. Cats as in animals. There's a cat that lives around here, and it's my little buddy. And that cat is pretty cute. I'll sit outside having a smoke, and it'll come over and it'll just hang out. And apparently, we've got another little cat that lives on the premises now, and that one really is affectionate. So, what other subject can we cover? Fuck, it's hot. The air is like hot soup. I told you earlier that the temperature was 24 degrees Celsius, and that's like 85 degrees Fahrenheit for Americans. But we haven't had humidity below 80% this week. It's painful. It is very painful. And I don't like it. You have to swim through the air when you're outside. But it's really hot, it's really humid, and I'm very sweaty and uncomfortable. Please, someone give me a subject. Eve, come back. You said you weren't going to be long. Oh, God. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. My future plans on my weight loss journey. Technically, I haven't actually lost any weight because although I've been getting slimmer and I've lost a lot of the fat weight, I put on a lot of muscle. So I haven't actually lost any weight. I weigh exactly the same now as I did when I was a fat bitch. I only lost about 24 pounds. No, we're not going to talk about train. But
I'm back.
Hi.
Hi.
I was asking what my plans are for my weight loss journey. I was kind of freaking out a little bit, so I asked people to give me subjects. But my weight loss plan, shall we say, for my journey is I pretty much just want to have muscles. I just want to have some kind of muscle mass. I want to have abs, and I'm almost there, Eve. I'm almost there, aren't I?
I'm so happy for you.
I sent Eve a video where I showed her the muscles on my stomach, and I'm almost there.
She's lost so much weight, and I'm so jealous. I need to actually.
I actually said I didn't actually lose any weight. I only actually lost weight in the first month. No, 2 months.
Well,
I only actually lost
you've
weight in the
burned so
first...
much fat. You look more toned and more.
Like I weigh
thinner.
exactly. Like I'm only 24 pounds lighter now than I was when I started.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on what, month 4 now of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
But because I've been putting on muscle and I've been losing a lot of the fat, and of course because muscle weighs more than fat, I haven't actually lost any weight.
So before I forget, let me go ahead and interject in front of you right here, Tally. We are reaching the call-in portion of our show, kids. If you...
Oh, I mentioned that when you left.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I said we are coming up to the call-in time.
Let me just drop that Discord link in the chat. If somebody is not in our Discord already, well,
yeah. So if someone's not in our Discord already, what are you doing with your life?
Right.
But
click that link.
Yeah.
Accept the rules, and then you can hop in the voice chat and chat with us about anything we've talked about today, or if you have something you wanted to comment. Maybe we ignored a question. I'm sorry if we missed it, but Tally gets going, and I can't shut her up sometimes. And
well, there is a way to shut me up, but she's not capable of doing it from all the way over there.
Touche.
Yeah, if you want to give us any queries, questions, or concerns.
Oh, I know how to shut you up. Hey, Pat.
Well, chocolate is my weakness.
God damn it, woman.
Okay, so if you hop into the voice chat that is labeled Green Room, we will then pull you in, and you can. You can pretty much say what you like.
Right now, but still. There was a question I didn't miss that Eve asked earlier. Parasite Eve, she asked earlier and said, if a trans woman had a uterus implanted in her, how would your body know what to do with it? And that's an interesting question that I actually am pretty sure I know the answer to. Because of the way hormones work, and we discussed earlier about how fat distribution changes. Excuse me, sorry. Fat distribution changes in your body because your body is being told when you start taking hormones that you're female now. Even if your body isn't actually physically female, it's telling your blueprint, your genetic blueprint, hold the fuck up, reverse this, let's do this way because this is what's going on.
Well, that's your body reacting
is-
to the hormones, and
Right.
basically the hormones is basically what tells a woman's body this is what you do this is what you're supposed to do during pregnancy.
And I have a feeling that hormones would play a very because hormones play a very strong role in pregnancy in general. Causing
Something you
things
do
like
have to
lactation. There have been cases of trans women who have such high doses of estrogen that they've actually started lactating. It's not typical, but it is possible because your estrogen levels skyrocket during pregnancy. That's also one of the things they have to do is artificially boost that during pregnancy.
Something you've also got to take into account is the fact that a woman's hormones come from our uterus and our ovaries. That's where the estrogen comes from. So if they did get to the point where they could transplant a uterus into a trans woman, if you did have to take estrogen, it would be very low doses.
In theory, yeah, it would be very low. In theory, if they were able to do that, there would be no need to take more estrogen or testosterone blockers because the primary production of testosterone is gone, and they've introduced the internal production of estrogen. So theoretically, yes, they could just basically stop taking pills altogether. But I don't think it's going to be as simple as that.
Or they could mess them about and take smaller doses.
Yeah.
But I had a thought, and I can't remember what it was, but it was relevant to that. It'll come to me. So John Forge is in the green room.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want me to drag it up that you've got
Beats to it. Hi, John.
Yep.
Hey, how are you, Eve?
Hi.
Good about you.
Sally?
Hi.
I'm good. I'm doing very good. Hey, sorry I'm late for the show, but I was
cool. How are things in
just
Upside Down
hopping
Land?
in.
How are you enjoying your winter?
Cold, very cold, more cold, and just
Okay, I have a question.
yeah.
What temperature would you say is cold?
What's cold to you?
3 degrees.
Oh, fuck off. 3 degrees? Fuck off.
What?
That's not cold. Well, it is. That's chilly.
Well, because
That's chilly.
That's 3 degrees above freezing, honey. So
Well,
that's roughly that's in the 30s still for Fahrenheit for the U.S. That's still in the 30s.
Yeah.
32 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 0 degrees Celsius, and if you're both using Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius is like somewhere around 36, 37 Fahrenheit. That's fucking freezing.
That is pretty cold. However, I was living in North where we had temperatures on a regular basis of below 0.
So basically freezing.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like snow.
I'm gonna stay in the South, thank you.
I hate snow. I never want to see snow
Look,
again.
Whoa. Snow didn't do anything to you.
The Snow Pilot is a wonderful man, and I adore him. The slushy shit that you get outside on the roads, though, that shit can go fuck itself.
Amen, sister.
Well, I've seen those like things from those like in America where like they have to like shovel it off the driveway and it goes dig, dig, dig. It's like a spade.
Yeah, a show shovel.
Yeah, like it's just a spade. I just called it a spade.
It's just a really wide shovel. It's a snow shovel.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, how is it back in the US, Eve?
It's doing alright. I mean, I can barely talk today, but I still managed to make it through the whole show, so I'm proud of myself.
Yay!
Yay! Salute.
Okay, so what did you have for us?
Okay, I don't know how long this show was going, but I came in and joined the chat when you guys were discussing No. Oh god.
I'm teasing.
Sorry.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
You were discussing trans issues, right?
Basically, the subject matter for today was the ability and of trans women to have a uterus.
Yeah. Someone
Well,
was
Via
saying because people who are upset about Brittany not being able to get her IUD taken out should also be upset that trans people can't get uterine transplants, and I'm like,
Those are two very different subjects.
Those are
yeah.
two different. Those things do not overlap at all. So
Basically, we went over the medical and the moral, and what would you say the other subject
That
was?
was that was the thing, is the idea that, like I said, theoretically right now, because the way the laws are in the US, this person, if they want to get a uterus transplant, they could find a donor, they could find a surgeon, they could find doctors who are willing to work with them on this entire situation and help them through it. The problem is what they want.
They would have to pay for it themselves, though.
Well, not even that. What they want is someone else to do the research. They want someone else to do the legwork. Rather than saying, fuck it, I feel like this is something we need in our society, going to school, getting a doctorate, and deciding I'm going to focus on this and figuring out how to make this work and getting people in and getting funding for this and blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing the hard work that it takes, she wants someone else to do it. And that's where I have a problem.
Well, here's the thing. If this person wants it so done, I'm just like, are you not going to put in the the initiative to do the work?
But you've got to remember, these are. You've got to remember,
they want doctors to do it. And I get annoyed when people say, we need doctors to do this. No, we don't need doctors. If you want something that badly in a medical field to change, there have been tons and tons and tons of stories of people who are just like, fuck it, my mother died of cancer. I'm going to bust my ass, go to medical school, and make sure that nobody else's mom dies of cancer. Because that's important to me. I'm going to bust my ass and dedicate my life to cancer research. That is a thing that happens quite a bit in the medical field. People get motivated to go into the medical field because of the things that happen in their lives. And I honestly would encourage this trans person to do the same thing. If this is such an important thing to you, bust your ass, go to medical school. Get the degrees and the study that you need, and do this research yourself.
But Eve, this is the kind of person that goes into college to do liberal arts and then complains that.
Oh, that's also assuming a lot, but you know.
Well, this is what
one
this
of those
person sounds
types
like.
of trainers that go
this
like into schools and say, "This is the way." Is it promoting an agenda?
This person sounds to me the way a feminist sounds who goes into liberal arts and then says we need more women in STEM. They sound exactly the same to me.
They sound similar. I don't want to, like I said, I really don't like straw manning arguments because it's things that this person didn't say. And I didn't want to add things of like, oh, well, because they said this must be what they believe. No, I don't like assigning those kind of things because they may not.
Fair enough.
And I've been surprised more often than...
I strawmanned. I was wrong. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. And it's easy to do. It's really easy to do. To go turn around and go, oh, because you believe these things, you must be a communist. Hold on. They didn't say that, you know. Because that's what we expect typically from people on the opposite side of that discussion. But that's not necessarily true. What we can glean is that this person feels that the problem isn't, no, you need to get off your ass and do the research. The problem that they feel is that, oh, well, people are just being, you know, trans misogynistic. No, it's not. It's because nobody's ever cared about it enough. If you care about it this much, go do it. Like, seriously, get off your ass and go do it. People would support that if you were willing to lead that charge.
I would support that.
No, that's the thing.
Medically, it's
rather
not viable.
than actually doing the work, they want to complain about it on Twitter and get somebody else to do the work. And that's where I have a problem.
And get sympathy. Get fake sympathy for something that, first of all, is not medically possible with STEM
it's not
research.
yet. It's not yet.
Not yet. We're working on it. But my mother used to work in genetic science, whatever. And we were having this discussion a while back about, like, making a genetically made like any body part, brain, heart thing. Here's
Oh,
the
we went
thing,
over
the
that
re-
too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very
yeah,
difficult. It's very
yeah.
difficult.
Theoretically you can, but right now, no way, no way, no
Yeah,
way,
actually,
sisters.
having
Not
it be
gonna
effective
happen.
is difficult.
Give
You
it
know,
another
so.
few centuries, then maybe on a gradient we could achieve it. But no, not right now.
See, I don't think we're gonna taking out the growing body parts in a lab part, because that's gonna
Yeah,
take at least 200
that
years
that
before we're
sounds like
there.
some Resident Evil shit.
Well,
I'm
it's
just gonna
gonna
say that.
repo shit. Like it's gonna take at least another 150 to 200 years before we are able to do that and they actually work. However,
Like, what's next?
a uterus
Cyborg
transplant,
implants?
like if you take a uterus from one person, like a biological woman, and you transplant it into a trans woman, it's not going to work
Not gonna
because
work.
we've already gone over all of the medical issues as to why it wouldn't work, and
I would
there are
say it
Yeah.
wouldn't
more on
work.
top
It
of
would
that
just
we.
be very, 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 very difficult.
Yeah, 100%. Like hormone replacement therapy, like estradiol, and the other like medication that trans women
Testosterone
and
blockers, estrogen
yeah,
blockers,
all that stuff.
testosterone.
It may be a supplement to get those secondary sex characteristics, but it's not gonna fully like change your DNA. It's going to maybe get to a caliber where it could maybe get close to the secondary sex characteristics of the opposite sex, but it doesn't how this woman or person is describing
Well,
it.
I said earlier that when a woman's pregnant, all of her organs are pushed up, and then when you go through labor, the contractions push all of the organs back down,
Mm-hmm.
and and even after you've given birth, you can still feel stuff moving back into place inside, and it's pretty weird shit. Because you are there like, what the fuck is going on here? Because you can feel stuff moving around
Well,
inside.
Mm-hmm.
I would believe so, but well, I'm not a woman, or not a I'm a guy, biological guy, yeah, yeah, all that mumbo jumbo. But here's the
Mm.
thing: a guy would never even imagine what a biological woman would have to go through. Like what Ash has told me about when a woman is pushing out a baby, it's like pushing out a whole watermelon. Like
Well,
imagine a watermelon.
well, a baby's head is about that big.
Yeah,
And the skin in that area, it's generally more flexible. Like our skin in that area is more stretchy than a man's. So, and then you've also got the whole shaving down the uterus to the pelvis, sorry, to accommodate the baby.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We do need to get you out of here, John,
yeah.
because we still have one more person to get
Okay,
in.
thank you. Yeah, I will exit
Um,
the call. Thank you for having me,
Yeah.
and love
Sorry.
you, ladies.
Sorry for
Bye.
interrupting, but
Thank
yeah.
you,
No,
John.
Thank you
no
for coming
need
on,
to
John.
apologize. It's fine. Bye.
Bye, sweetie. We also have Travis in here. Let's see if we can get him in for a few minutes because he keeps trying to get in here. Maybe he's on his
He
phone
does.
this time. Let's see.
Yeah. Hopefully he works.
Travis,
Hi, Travis.
can you hear us? Uh-oh.
It's not working again. Travis, you might have to go onto your phone because it works on your phone.
I don't even see your camera coming up. I may have to turn it off, turn it back on again.
Yeah, I've just got buffering.
Mm-hmm.
I've got dancing squares.
I'm sorry, Travis. He's one of our most loyal viewers too, and always shows up for
He
the show.
is.
And I'd hate that he can't get in here and talk with us.
Yeah, so do I. It's and last time he tried, like we actually took time after the show to try and fix it.
Yeah.
But Travis, if you can hear us, you might actually have to go out and come back on your phone so that it can work. Because it works on
He
your
is
phone.
on mobile right now.
Oh,
I don't know why it's not coming through.
but this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just this channel.
Maybe. Anywho, we're gonna. Oh, here he is. Let's try again. Hello? Damn it. I pulled you in, damn it. No! Come back.
Hello?
Hello. Anyway, sorry, Travis. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. I apologize, but we'll help you figure it out afterwards. But put you back down there in
Again.
the green room, but yeah, this is my phone. Yeah, he said he's on his phone. We'll help you get to figure out what's going on with it afterwards.
Yeah, it might be this channel.
So it might be because it's a locked channel. Discord acts weird with locked channels, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching. If you like what we do on this channel, share with your friends. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out the door. And like I said, share with your friends. Tell people about us. You know, we're here having deep, interesting conversations lately. This is, I'll be honest, the last 2 times that we've had this, Tally came up with the subject, guys. I want you to think about that. Like this girl can be pretty smart sometimes. You just let her do it.
When I try.
When she puts some effort into it, this girl has some really smart takes sometimes. So, yeah. So, yeah, everybody, a little round of applause for Tally. Yay! And let's not forget the boop. Boop.
Would you like to pet my red panda?
I would. Pet. All right, kids. Well, we're gonna get out of here. I will probably be over in my Discord, my personal Discord for Chaos Eve stuffs. So,
maybe we should drop that one in the chat as well, or the description box.
Hang on.
Because that is pretty much where we spend most of our time.
That is where I spend most of my time. So for anybody who's not over in my Discord, let me grab this link for y'all.
I'm so warm. I'm too warm.
I'm gonna drop this link in chat. This is the link to somewhere here. I have a link somewhere here. I'm certain of it. There it is. You two are dorks. Yes, we are. There's the link to my Discord, a little invite link. Come on over, hang out. I will be over there chilling and playing games with folks over there. Tally might hang out for a little bit too. I don't know. She might have to get to bed because it's kind of late there, but you never know. Yeah.
Well, the reason we moved it to Wednesday is because I don't work on Thursdays.
Oh, okay. Well, she'll be over hanging out too. We'll be over there hanging out, so I'll see you guys there. And
I will be complaining about how hot and sweaty and gross I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really warm.
Anyway,
it's really warm.
Catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Lay back, relax, enjoy it all. Saturday night, it's time to say no more. S&M with Tally and Chaos Eve. Come pleasure or pain, welcome to the stream.